Hey guys, King of Charizard here to be your judge, your jury, and your analyst. Today I bring to you the most powerful ABB team in Open Great League. Updated, and it's Swampert Double Flyer. So I'm really, first of all, statistically it's at 569, which is a very incredible number at its own if you look at its statistics. But I don't like it because double steel or steel in the back is very popular nowadays, and you can kill a Bastiodon with this team. You can beat grass types with this team. I'm going to show you the Bastiodon one in this shoutcast, and it's going to be very similar to how you would play it if you saw a grass type lead. But if you also see a grass and ice type together, you're probably going to die, so it doesn't really matter. But before we get started, my therapist mental health tip of the day. As usual, you can skip this by going ahead of the chapters. For this one, it is about depression in the winter months. So, how do you cope with January blues? So, seasonal depression is a thing. If you feel really blue one type of a season versus the other way around, you might have seasonal depression. Of course, don't get diagnosed unless you actually go to or you're seeing a mental health professional and you are in therapy or treatment and they diagnose you with it. But it is a thing around. It's very common. Well, not very common. I hope not very common. But it's not for me as a clinician, as a mental health professional. It is not new news to me. So for this article, it really shows just like why is depression so common in January? Well, you just came back from a holiday, so then you're back into your work cycle. For me, that's exciting because I'm a workhorse and I like to work. But for those of you that don't want to come back to it, well, shorter days, you have decreased physical activity, your social stimulation because you're not around your friends or family as much, and again, you're not in a holiday. So definitely take a look at this article. It's got a lot of good information and it's in the description below. Without further ado, this is the most powerful ABB team for Open Great League. And without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here are the battles. So we have our Swampert onto a shiny Charizard. As much as I love the Charmander family, this is just asking to die. As you see here, this person is also lagging. So I included this battle just to complain about the state of the game. So it's kind of funny how they're trying to promote Pogo PvP on Twitch using the main channel when the game doesn't even freaking work. Congratulations, we are the biggest joke in esports. We're actually probably the biggest joke in esports factually. You have one of the biggest franchises, yet the only thing you can pull is 1.5k for a California regional tournament. And the game still was lagging. And there was still disputes. Despite the fact it's one-on-one. And there's definitely not nearly as many players as others. And the 69420 Earthquake is about to go through, rock this Shadow Celio's world, and that, I respect the spice. And then we get a Stunfisk, and I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So like I mentioned at the beginning of Shoutcast, I actually don't like this line, nor do I know how it made the number. Like, if you go to top performers right now and you look it up, this is the #1 team. This is the strongest ABB team. Double Flyer. And I just don't know. I really don't know. I'll show how the bait out can work for Pidgeot, but I still don't like it because there's too many things running around like lanterns. Steel types will give you a nightmare, as in G-Fisk as well as Registeel, and like I mentioned, lanterns. One lantern makes your back row just cry because there's really, other than shadow balling into that, there's really nothing you can do. As you see, I'm going to be able to break all my opponent's shields here, and then all I have to do is send in my Swampert, and I just have to make them really wet. Get really freaking wet, and then it's literal game. They try to farm down my Swampert because that's their only hope of a win condition, but this, yeah, there's basically no hope. And that's GG's. As you see, that's 2 shield flex, and I didn't even need to do anything. That was absolutely terrible. Now you're going to see it get a little more sweaty. So, well, not really. We get Nidoqueen onto Swampert. I'm not sure my opponent is still using Nidoqueen nowadays. Not saying Nidoqueen's a bad mon, but with the rise of Aurorus and other ice types, especially things like Obama Snow being a lot more powerful. Obama, I know Obama, it's Obama, but like, you know, with those things being more popular, you would think they would swap out. And as you see, I am able to supremely catch a foul play with my Super Saiyan Pidgeot. The best thing about Pidgeot is the hair. And Ash still hasn't came back for his Pidgeot. That might change in the new upcoming like anniversary episodes or whatever, but I hope he comes back to his Pidgeot because that thing has been waiting forever for him to come back. And he still looks 10 years old. Just putting that out there. So the burb is going to go through. We're going to do the Hurricane 69420 Brave Bird. And this is hopefully going to go through. If not, I'm going to try to fire a second one. I want to try to keep alignment on that Nidoqueen. Plus, we already broke their shield. I'm going to shield this one, fire Brave Bird. And then I'm going to take out my opponent's Umbreon and just keep alignment on the Nidoqueen. Pretty textbook here. Keep your alignment. Wind switch. Keep alignment. Still a little scary because Umbreon is super thick. It has a giant booty. Those legs are large. And it is just ever so popular. We're gonna get farmed down by the Nidoqueen. I'm gonna send in Swampert. I'm not gonna fire anything here. My opponent fired right away, so I definitely know this is not gonna be an Earth Power. As the Poison Fan goes through, we call it right away, and then I fire my Hydro Cannon. I do this to slow down a second, and I already know that's a Medicham, so I'm gonna just send in Noctowl after. We have all that extra energy, and plus that Nidoqueen's already in range where one Hydro Cannon will take it out. So all I have to do is send in Noctowl. Going to go ahead and just Sky Attack my way to victory. Even if I didn't call the Psychic here, that's fine. Gonna fire my Sky Attack. It's gonna break this last shield or take out this Medicham entirely. And what they're gonna do is gonna send a Nidoqueen. So this is really iffy on their part just because of the fact that I still have I might be able to get to 2 Sky Attacks, and it's low enough to where it's just gonna take 1 Hydro Cannon and take it out. As you see here, they try to farm me down. Big mistake they should have fired because as you see, rank 1 Noctowl is incredibly thick. And because I have a rank 1 Noctowl, it is able to survive all these poison rings, and then I'm able to send in Swampert and then just game my opponent. It would still be really bait dependent anyways. My opponent would have to call in Earth Power because they're at a point where I can just mud-shot them down for the dub. So my water power is my Water Wheel and Dragon Slash for Tanjiro from Demon Slayer is very, very strong. And also, okay, so we get Sandslash onto my Swampert. Obviously, it's a winning lead, and we get a Noctowl. If your opponent sends in a Mon, and it's not terrible, like, A-Bomb Snow, or if it's like a Razor Leaf user, then what you're going to do here is you're going to go ahead and try to chip away your opponent. Chip away your opponent, then send a Noctowl or Pidgeot. You always want to do some chip damage before you send your next opponent out as much as possible. Especially because Swampert charges so fast, it's not going to put you behind to just do a little bit of chip before you swap out. And we're just going to Sky Attack. As you see, my Noctowl has a giant forehead. Well, Noctowl's head is pretty large. But it also has Psychic, so it's very big brain. And it's a huge owl. I would be terrified if one of these things ran at me. Like, look at the size of Noctowl and look at the size of the trainer sprite. This thing is large. That's a big freaking bird. I wonder how Noctowl tastes too. I know we don't talk about cannibalism here. Wings. I love wings. As a food enthusiast, I absolutely love wings, and I wonder how much Noctowl wings would taste. But at the same time, I don't even want to try it because I like Noctowl. This is really smart by our opponent to send in Sandslash, but what they're not smart is they should have just let me farm them. They should just farm me down. One Ice Punch goes through, but at the same time, you already know you're going against a Swampert, so all that extra energy would have been great. I'm going to send in Swampert. We're just going to go ahead and Hydro Cannon death and watch my timing. Even if this is Gyro Ball, it's resisted. The only thing they really have is Bulldoze, and as you see, I'm able to call the Ice Punches. So I'm going to fire 2 Hydro Cannons, and then we're going to send in our Pidgeot to go ahead and close out this match. Again, another reason why I really kind of don't like this team. This entire team you can beat grass types, but it's really hard to come from behind, especially since there are things like I mentioned, Water Gun Lantern will give you a very hard time. Also, grass types in your lead will be an absolute nightmare, and Medicham double steel teams are still out there. So double steel will give your back row a nightmare, and it's very tricky. The big reason why double normal flyer works, as you see on that Sableye where they top lefted, is just because of the fact that there are Sableye users out there. Sableye goes against Pidgeot or against Noctowl and has a very hard time. For the next battle, we have Aurorus and Swampert, and as you see, they swap out really fast. Aurorus is very squishy, at least, it's pretty dang squishy if it's not resisted, and 1 Hydro Cannon hurts a lot. So their opponent switches out to Medicham right away, and we're just going to mirror it with one of our Noctowls. Or one of our flyers. So we got Noctowl, and then we have Pidgeot. I usually send in Noctowl just because with Pidgeot you can use debuffs. But either one and also Brave Bird also is a better closeout matchups. As you see here, rank 1 Noctowl comes through again with a 1 HP and a Dream, and I'm like, wow, holy mother of mercy. My Noctowl is very thick. It is very large. I definitely make it do squats in its Pokeball. And as you see, a Sky Attack will do nothing against Aurorus, but all I have to do is line up against Swampert, and our opponent's probably going to swap out right away because it sucks a lot, and we get a Trevenant. Another reason why Double Flyer works, because it's Double Flyer and Double Normal. So because it's Double Flyer Normal, you're able to put it against these Ghost types, and we are able to do very, very well against them. I'm going to Feather Dance to try to break shields here. You typically should try to bait with Feather Dance, even if you don't get the full... Even if you don't get the bait or the shield, you still get the -2. This is a 2000 IQ play here. I'm letting my opponent's Trevenant do as much damage to me as possible before I swap out. As you see, I wait for a very long time before I tap on the screen, and I'm waiting just for my switch timer to time up. This is one of the things you can do. I just want to make sure that Aurorus can't come in and get any extra energy. So after, as you see, my clock goes out, I send in Swampert, and again, 2000 IQ play. Run your clock. There's no reason to. If I didn't do that, my opponent could farm me down completely, and even though I would still win just because I have 2 shields, I don't want to give this Aurorus as much energy as possible. So, but the problem with doing that nowadays is that the game will freeze, and it will not, you won't see the animation of your opponent attacking you until you attack back, which is really annoying, because as you see, you're gonna literally put us on your Twitch page, your Pogo main page, and Pogo PvP is going to lag and have bugs in it. It looks embarrassing. I am so embarrassed. I really am. For this game to be on a stage when it's so broken like this. Now, if you lose the lead, I swear you swap out into Pidgeot. Medicham versus Swampert isn't that bad, but this is where you start drawing stuff out. If there's a Medicham in the lead, there probably is a Steel type in the back, and you want to draw the Steel type, whether it be a Bastiodon or whether it be the G-Fisk. You send in Pidgeot, debuff as much as possible, send in your Swampert, and hopefully Swampert can do work. In this case, we have a Lickitung. So my opponent, this might likely be a miss-swap by my opponent, because I'm like, why would you send in a Lickitung onto Pidgeot? Now at -4, Lickitung's Body Slams are not going to hurt. I can go ahead and just have pretty much free reign and will against this Lickitung. Body Slams at -4 aren't doing much at all, even though Pidgeot is pretty squishy. As you see, you lick, you put your hand up on your, well, that sounds really bad. Please excuse my dirty comments. I am a 7-year United States Air Force military veteran. And I do say, you see, this is what I mean right there. You see that? I like pancakes. I like waffles. In this case, we finally see the waffle. So this was definitely a miss-swap by our opponent. However, it didn't really matter. Even if our opponent put the Stunfisk out, I would have been in alignment with my Swampert, and I would have been vibing super hard. I would have just been able to literally just do as much as I can, do as much damage as I can. But our opponent does actually really well here. They call the Earthquakes, and all I'm going to do is get to 99 energy. One Mudshot is set 9 energy. Times 11, that's 99 energy. You cannot go over 100 energy. So you must Mudshot down. As you see here, I go for the full farm down. I'm going to shield this one because I'm banking that it's going to be an Earthquake. And it is an Earthquake. So all we're going to do is farm down, and we're going to have a ton of energy left over for our opponent. We're at 100 energy. We're going to Hydro Cannon our way to victory. They have a Lickitung and something else in the back, which is the Medicham. And the Medicham is going to go ahead and get massively wet. I'm going to spray my... That sounds really bad. I'm going to Hydro Cannon all over... That sounds really bad too. I was going to say Hydro Cannon all over your face, but that's actually really bad too. So you know what? We're just going to let it go. We're going to Hydro Cannon as much as we can, use all this energy, and then make sure we do as much chip damage as possible onto our opponent. We take both shields, we send in the Pidgeot. We're going to fire the Brave Bird, or attempt to fire it, but this is okay if it doesn't. I'm going to shield anyways, and I'm going to fire Brave Bird because we still have a whole Noctowl in the back. As you see, Brave Bird is going to go through. It's going to be really windy. Well, it's actually really windy in California right now. And a lot of rain. I like rain, but I'm so over it right now. So as you see, all we're going to do is we're going to farm down this Medicham. It's basically game over. There's nothing our opponent can do. And this is game for this right here. All I have to do is fully farm down. There's no reason for him to fire Sky Attack and waste an extra 5 seconds of my life. For you, it's all by all means. You can totally do it if you want to. It's totally up to you. It's really up there. For the next battle, we have Medicham against Swampert, and you probably know what I'm going to do. I'm going to swap into Pidgeot, and we're going to lure out the almighty Bastiodon. When I saw this, I was like, oh my god. I was like, alright, here we go. I finally found it. So if you lose the lead, you're going to switch on to Pidgeot, and you're going to Feather Dance them, debuff them -4, and pray. Because what I don't like about ABB teams, if you are wrong about your opponent's back row, you're going to lose. because GBL is completely random. It could also be done in show 6. If you call your opponent wrong in show 6, you're gonna lose 2 as far as back rows go. So, as you see here, we're going to debuff it -4 and you go straight Brave Bird. After that, we're going to send in Swampert. At -4, Flamethrower and Stone Edge actually won't do a ton of damage against you. Brave Bird, we're going to do as much chip damage as humanly possible against Bastiodon. Then we're going to send in Swampert right away. I want my Swampert to be locked in the Bastion, which is why I'm swapping in right away. And then we're going to just gather a ton of energy. You're going to see my opponent use Stone Edge, and at -4, it really doesn't do a lot at all. There's Stone Edge, bang. It does like 10% of Swampert's HP. So all you're going to do is charge to 100. He can go ahead and blow all his energy if he wants to. It's not really going to do anything. But this is what happens when you lose lead. You switch it to Pidgeot, try to bait this thing out or the G-Fisk, debuff it -4, and then Swampert comes in and tries to end your opponent's life. And then you hope that Noctowl can close out the back. That's the basic strategy. Again, I still don't like this team. I still don't like this strategy in general. Especially when we have 2 things weak to steal like this. But it can work! We take out the heart counter to our freaking flyers, and now we have the Medicham back. So I'm hoping that whatever they have in the back is actually weak to Noctowl, because like I mentioned, if it's a steel type, if this is Medicham double steel, we're in a whole lot of trouble right now. Double Hydro Cannons are going to go through. We're going to win CMP for this shot, and it's going to go through. We're going to do a ton of damage, or we're going to be able to break one of our opponent's shields, either or. Hydro Cannon goes through. Now we start breaking shields, and this is when I start shielding. The reason being is because I have no idea what my opponent has in the back row, and our Swampert is going to be able to get the Hydro Cannon pretty fast. That's why it's so dang good, because it gets to its moves so fast. I'm going to swap in to Noctowl, and I'm going to see what my opponent does here. My opponent isn't swapping out, so I'm like, this is actually a little odd. But I'm actually going to eat this Ice Punch here, or the Psychic, depending on what it is. So Ice Punch goes through. We're going to go ahead and farm down our Medicham, and it happens to be a Sableye, which is great, because since we have a Sableye, all we have to do is double up on Sky Attack, send in Swampert, Hydro Cannon, and that's game. So the giant flying, like, destroyers of worlds are double thing. What's something that flies that's an anime? I don't know. My brain. Oh yeah, Neon Genesis Evangelion, but that's a very horrific anime that if you watch the anime, it's a very horrifying anime. Great ending by one of the animes with like the greatest revamp comebacks, and then has an ending, because if you watch Neon Genesis Evangelion, you know that is a very, very horrific anime, which is why we're well, that's it's popular right now because we have a Sableye in front of us. Our Sableye is not going to be able to Shadow Claw us down. We're going to get to 2 Sky Attacks, break our opponent's second shield, send in Swampert for the Hydro Cannon, and then that's GG's. But yes, Neon Genesis Evangelion is actually a very terrifying anime. Let's see, we're going to send in Swampert, and we're going to get to our Hydro Cannon, and that's going to be game. We still have a shield, so regardless if they threw their energy or not, we still had a shield, and that was it. This is the best ABB team statistically. I don't like it, but you know what? Statistically, it is the best ABB team for Open Great League for the recent PV Poke top performers, and that's GG's. And that's game. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. As you see, this double flyer team is very interesting to play. I don't know how it made the top rankings, but again, 369 is a very impressive number, so I definitely approve of its existence. But other than that, we are back in Open Great League, which many of you like, and I'm really glad. Unfortunately, we are going to have a week where Open Great League will be gone, and it's going to be nothing but XL Master League all day. You're either going to have Open Master League or Master League Premier Cup, where it's just XLs without legendaries. But I hope y'all are doing good. I hope y'all are enjoying the season. If y'all have your... I'm not going to lie. If the other season Steven posed without, I might have actually gunned for Legend, but I don't really... Yeah. I actually gained like 400 points in Master Premier Classic, so I was like, maybe I should have tried harder, but I just really don't care. So, let's see if they're actually going to fix Pogo PvP. As you saw in that glitch where if I stop attacking and it stops the animation for them, it's really dumb and it's super annoying. But hopefully you guys are enjoying the season now that Open Great League is back, and hopefully y'all are enjoying your battles. Do me who's favorite, please like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. Good luck on your Go Ballies, and I will see y'all on the next video.
That I made, all the things that I have craved, these are what I could have saved.